Hey there, my name is Tracy Pache and I am the French Second Language Coordinator for the Tri-County Regional Center for Education. Today we've put together a short video explaining the Early French Immersion program. The Early French Immersion program. So the Early French Immersion program is an optional French program designed for students whose first language is not French and have little or no knowledge of French prior to entering grade primary. So don't worry, you do not have to speak French at home for your child to enter into the immersion program. The Early French Immersion program is a second language program in which French is the language of instruction for a significant part of the school day and several or all subjects with the exception of English language arts, which begins in grade 3. Every other subject is taught in French. We're going to talk a little bit more about English language arts in a few minutes. The French Immersion program is a natural way of acquiring a language. So students begin by speaking, then they move into reading and writing. And that's a continuous cycle throughout their learning journey of the French language. It's an effective way for your child to become functionally bilingual in a second language while still achieving the outcomes of the regular school program. So that being said, early French immersion students follow the same curriculum and initiatives as other same grade level students in Nova Scotia, with the expectation of meeting the same outcomes, but in French. So for example, in grade 1, students in math learn to say numbers in sequence by skip counting by 2s and 5s. And so that is the same outcome in the French immersion program, we just do that in French. The effects of the program on the acquisition of French and English language, as well as academic achievement of French immersion students, has been well documented, and research indicates that the program works. The program begins with intensive instruction in French. Instruction of subject material is not repeated in English. So it's not that the teacher says a sentence in French and then repeats it in English and then repeats it in French again. So in French immersion, the teachers use a lot of pictures to help students understand. They're doing a lot of actions to help students understand, but the instruction is done in French. In order to best achieve the program goals, students are encouraged to remain in the program until grade 12 completion. Sometimes this doesn't work out just because of the way the course selection works and which path students are going down when they get to the high school level. However, after that many years of French, they still have quite a good basis that they carry with them into the future. Performance on standardized tests. So research shows that early French immersion students perform as well as non-immersion students. So for us in the province, when we do our grade 8 assessment results for the English language, we find that our results here with French immersion and non-French immersion students are very similar. In the beginning, French will be the language of instruction and communication by the teacher. The teacher will model the language through proven second language instructional strategies. So like we just said, they begin with oral. The students have a chance to speak and hear that. Then they move into reading, where the teacher will model the reading, and then the students will be able to read as well. And then they move into the writing. So students will begin by putting words together and using new structures to communicate in full sentences. This is very gradual in the beginning. It is also common for students to speak to each other and to their teacher in English in the beginning. So in the beginning, they're starting to understand the language when the teacher is speaking. They'll be able to follow instructions. You'll see them moving around the room when the teacher asks them to do that, but they'll still be speaking a little bit of English because, of course, that's their first language and that's how they communicate. So that will slowly stop as the grade primary year progresses. Language will develop at different rates, and progress is as individual as each child. So here are the percentages for each different grade level band. So for grades primary to 2, they have about 90% of their instruction in French. So most subjects, except for music and physical education, are taught in French. Every once in a while, you'll have a specialty teacher, such as a physical education teacher or music teacher, that also speaks French, and that way the students will be able to have that course done in French as well. That's why the percentage is from 90 to 100, and the same with the other grade level bands. So from grade 3 to 9, it's about 70 to 80% done in French, and the rest is in English. So the courses that they take in French are French language arts, math, social studies, science, and health. And in grade 3, that's the first year where students receive English language arts instruction. So from grade primary to 2, it's just French language arts instruction. And in grade 3, English language arts is introduced. And then at the grade 10 to 12 level, it's a credit system. So it's approximately 50% of their credits will be done in French. So they have to take French language arts grade 10, 11, and 12, and those have to be done in the grade 10, 11, and 12 year. So for example, the grade 12 course can't be done in a student's grade 11 year. And then they have to take 6 other credits in French. So that gives them a total of 9 French credits. So parents and guardians must be reassured that what is vital in their involvement is providing a rich and supportive environment in the child's first language. So like we said earlier, don't worry, you do not need to speak French at home. There must be a shared commitment on the part of the parent and the child. A great deal of patience, tolerance, and support is needed, especially in the early stages. So what that means is encouragement to continue to go and learn in French. In the beginning, they come home a little bit frustrated, which is fully understandable. They go to school and the teacher is speaking a different language. So even though they're using lots of pictures and actions to help out, they still think this is a different language and this is new to me. And of course, in grade primary, school is new to them as well. So it's a great deal of patience to get through that first few weeks, and then we see some great gains with our students. It's not necessary for parents or guardians to know or speak French. The best way for you to help your child is to be positive and supportive. So activities like continuing to read with your child every night in English are great. Invite your child to read with you, speaking to your child each night about what they did in school, things like that. So changing programs. So sometimes when we enter into the immersion program, it just doesn't seem like it's the best fit. So there's many interventions that we can do to put in place for the students, which Mireille Doucette will speak about in a little bit more specifically. But in general, the decision to remove a child from the immersion program is a team decision, and that would involve the student, the immersion teacher, the principal, the parents and guardians, and sometimes the French coordinator. So the decision to transfer a student from the immersion program must not be made lightly. It's a pretty big decision, and so there's lots of different things and strategies that we can put in place before we would get to that decision. So if a transfer is considered, it's crucial to plan the transition carefully in order to minimize any negative effects. So for example, you would maybe want to do this at the end of a school year, or we could do it at the end of a term, just so that the transition is a more natural transition for the child. So lastly, the general and specific goals of the immersion program. So immersion programs in Canada offer to Anglophone or Allophone students a bilingual and intercultural education based on 4 main objectives. So the first objective is to provide students with the opportunity to acquire a functional competency in both oral and written French, enabling them to communicate on a personal and professional level, to ensure a normal development of oral and written English skills, to ensure proper learning in the subject areas taught in French or in English and allow normal cognitive and emotional development, and to further a better understanding of the culture of French Canadians and Francophones in general, while developing an interest in and respect for his or her own culture.
Any student that is in French immersion has access to the same type of supports that a student in the English stream would have. Inclusive education. Every student should be taught within a common learning environment, such as a classroom, with students of similar age within the community school with flexibility that is based on and responsive to the student's individual strengths and challenges. It is the role of the teaching support team within a school to strengthen the school's capacity to support student well-being and achievement by assisting teachers in developing strategies to meet the needs of their students. The team's focus is to proactively build capacity among teaching staff, as well as supporting changes in teaching practices to meet students' needs and on identifying other needed supports as required. Some students may experience academic and social-emotional challenges despite best teaching practices being implemented. These students would be brought forth to the teaching support team to determine next steps in how to best support the student. Some students may benefit from the support of a learning support teacher, which may be provided in class or in small groups in the classroom or possibly in an alternate location. Students may require additional supports to help them succeed, such as adaptations or an IPP. The decision to provide additional supports would be done with ongoing communication and including parents and guardians.
Hi, we're here today at Yarmouth Consolidated Memorial High School to speak about the late French immersion and the early French immersion programs here in Tri-County Regional Center for Education. Ladies, would you like to introduce yourselves?
My name is Marley. My name is Ivy Cushing.
So ladies, when you first went into the French immersion program, how did you find it? Was it difficult in the beginning or?
I don't remember much, but it was pretty easy for me at least, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think the teachers were really helpful in learning a new language through elementary.
So how long did it take you to become comfortable in your second language?
Not very long. It's hard to explain, but you get very comfortable because you're often with the same people when you grow up, because there's not a lot of different French classes.
But yeah, I think we got into the flow of things pretty easily.
How did you find that the teachers were able to teach you a second language? Like, what were the things that they did that helped you along the way?
When we were first learning the language, it was definitely a lot of visual things that were very helpful and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember in some grades we had like on the wall there'd be pictures of like things like apples, dogs, and they'd have the word in French below it. So stuff like that was really helpful in learning.
Okay. What do you think the benefits are of taking the French immersion program?
There's a lot of opportunities when you get older and you're going to university. And it's good to be able to talk to people in a different language.
Yeah, I think it's probably really helpful for jobs because then you can talk to clients in two languages and you probably look better on stuff resume.
If you were speaking to somebody going into French immersion or thinking about going into French immersion, what would you tell that student?
It's a very good learning experience, and you get to do lots of fun things too and make a lot of good friends.
Yeah, I think you could really benefit your career, and then growing up with the same people often is really.
Hi, I'm Natalie Cuttrell. I've been teaching elementary students, mainly primary one, for 7 years. From what I see from September to June, when they come in September, they come in not knowing any French at all. We all know every student is unique, but at some point they all have a moment where something clicks. They begin knowing letters and words. They can write the words. They can read the words. In my classroom, every day we read the message and the poem together. We learn new vocabulary words. I speak lots of French and we practice it daily. We play games to reinforce what we learn in the language, and we make it fun. We understand that most of the parents in immersion that have immersion students don't speak French. And for that reason, if we do send work home, it is something that the students have already been practicing. If the kids read their books in their desk, I'll keep them for a week, and then I'll send the books home. So they're not new books, as an example.
Hi, my name is Jared Purdy, Director of Programs and Student Services for Tri-County Regional Center for Education. The French Immersion program has played a large role throughout my life and continues to hold a special place both personally and professionally. My experience with the program began in elementary school and lasted through to graduation, where it afforded me an opportunity to take my second language through post-secondary and into a teaching career in French Immersion, eventually becoming a school administrator overseeing a strong French Immersion program. The benefits of French immersion and in students acquiring a second language are immense, with so many doors opening up in the future as a result. I'm continually amazed watching our grade primary students pick up a second language so quickly and so fluidly, and watching the joy and excitement it brings them. Whether coming with some French in the household or none at all, the program is a great fit for any family. Whether it's opening doors to future success or simply the excitement of learning a second language, I encourage all of our families to consider this amazing opportunity for their child. The experience has come full circle for me, as I'm now watching my two little girls acquire French as a second language, and having full conversations with them in French at such a young age is pretty special. Merci beaucoup, et j'espère qu'on a plusieurs élèves dans nos programmes d'immersion.
Early French immersion is offered at the following schools: Digby Elementary School, Weymouth Consolidated School, Meadowfields Community School, Yarmouth Elementary School, Plymouth School, and Drumlin Heights Consolidated School. If you do not live in the catchment area for one of these schools, you may still be able to enroll your child for immersion. Transportation would be the responsibility of the parent or guardian, however, in that case. Please contact your school for more information. To register, please contact your school directly to enroll your child in the Early French Immersion program. The registration closes on February 1st. Please call before then. If you have any other questions regarding Early French Immersion, please call your school for more information.